Yo, what's up? So I wanted to address the elephant in the room, which is Dragon Age, the Veilguard. Oh my god, I've read so many internet trolls and so many people talking bad about this game and a lot of mixed opinions and reviews and this and that and the third. So I wanted to give mine. I've been playing the game for quite a few hours now, and I want to say that a lot of the negativity around the game is unfounded. I feel like a lot of people literally watched a less than 5 minute scene in the game and drew all their conclusions from there. I've been a gamer for my whole life, so like 40 years. I played all the BioWare games, um, for better or worse. And I wanted to give my opinion, spoiler free, on some of the stuff. So I don't do scripts because I don't do that bullshit. Everything I say is from the fucking dome and the heart, right? So I did take a couple notes though. With that being said, so um, all the positive stuff, like I don't really have too many negative things to say because the game's actually pretty good and I'm really enjoying it. But the here's some of the positives. Like the cutscenes are very cinematic and very good. The cutscenes seem like really top notch and really cinematic and really well done. Another thing I like is there is hidden treasures around and stuff like that. So it's not one of those games where you kind of see a pathway and then go explore and it's just a dead end, right? For just wasting your time. Like it gives you some incentive to explore. There is some stuff to find and you know, adventure like you should be in a fucking game like this, right? Like there should be an incentive to look around and see what's behind that rock over there, or where's that path that the quest is telling me to go right, but there's a path to the left. Where does that go, right? Like there should be that kind of stuff, and there is, right? Um, like any cool RPG, there is interactable slash breakable items in the world. So not to the effect of Boulder's Gate or anything, right? Like compared to Boulder's Gate, you know, it's not that hardcore, but there's walls you can break, pots you can break, boxes you can break, things like that. So there is some interactive stuff with the world. The music is really good. I'm playing it on my PS5, which is why I'm not pulling the game up right now. I didn't get it on PC. I'm playing it on PS5, and the music on surround sound because I have a pretty decent surround sound and a big TV, which is why I want to play it on my couch. The music in with surround sound is really really good, and all the sound design is top notch. And the graphics on PS5, eh. I'm playing it on like prioritized graphics mode, and there is some frame rate drops here and there, but you can't really blame the game for that. Like that's just some that's hardware limitation. And if you really really want the best graphics, then have a decent rig and play it on PC, right? And a lot of people I read they were saying the game is like oh unicorns and rainbows and blah 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 diversity inclusion like that's just fucking bullshit. Like it's seriously stupid and fucking bullshit. There's a lot of darkness still in the game. There's still a lot of dark tone. Without spoiling much, there is still dark spawn and some gore and blight, right? Which you'll see when you play the game. But I hope what I'm trying to accomplish here is hope that people that wrote the game off just because of a 5 minute scene, like wake up out of their fucking ignorance and actually try the game for themselves. Because that's what I did. Because at first I read a lot of that bullshit and I was like, yeah, right? But I don't let people influence me like that. So I bought the game and played it, and I'm glad I did. Uh, and another thing, choices do matter. You still have the typical three choices, and sometimes even more. So you have like the nice guy choice, the neutralist choice, or like the tough guy choice, or sometimes even the aggressive choice, or sometimes even like a humbling choice, where you can be humble and take blame for things and stuff like that. But the choices are still there, and they still matter. And there's actually like a little extra thing which is nice is when you make choices, There's sometimes an extra dialogue where you can click a, if you're like, say, for example, you're not 100% sure on your choice because they didn't give enough dialogue, you can click extra dialogue and get a little more voice acted dialogue before you make your choice. Like, so if you're not sure about it or whatever, right? And combat is decent. It's a BioWare game. Let's be real. Like, when has combat ever been a top priority in a BioWare game? It's not. You don't play it for that. You play it for the story and for the RPG elements and to live inside that world. Like, Mass Effect is my favorite trilogy, or just my favorite games of all time, right? And you play that game for a lot of reasons, and combat is typically not the number one, not the reason you play these type of freaking games, dude. Like, come on. Like, yeah, combat is decent. It is not as watered down as people said it was. And people also said you couldn't control your companions, and that is misleading. So you can't take full control of your companions, meaning you cannot become them and run around as them, but you can still command them. Similar to like Mass Effect, you can still command them. So say, for example, if you have one of them built up as a healer or whatever, you can still, in the middle of combat, you know, tell your companion to drop a heal on you or whatever. Like, you can command their abilities in combat. So you just can't actually physically control them. So again, it's like, this was in Mass Effect as well. So but I feel like people are just nitpicking and being stupid, to be honest. Like, again, it's a BioWare game. What kind of combat do you expect is going to be in here? So neutral thing, something that's neutral, because this can be hit or miss depending on the type of player and person, is puzzles. There's some little puzzle-ish aspects in the game, but I feel like they're pretty dumbed down and only require a tiny bit of brain power to do. Personally, I like that because when I'm playing an action adventure RPG, like, I don't mind puzzles, but if it's like so in depth where I can't even figure it out and I gotta like look it up online or something, or it takes me an hour to figure out, like, for me that just kills the immersion for me, because I'm trying to stay in the story and stay on a mission, and getting sidetracked by some epic ass puzzles just annoying for me. But the puzzles in this are kind of dumbed down, like pretty low. Like, it doesn't really take much brain power to figure out. So that's going to be someone's personal preference, if they like hardcore puzzles or not. But there is some puzzles in the game. There is a little thing that requires a little bit of brain power sometimes. And again, I will, hence the little bit of brain power. So as far as dislikes go, because the game is not perfect, and the only main things I really disliked with the game is pretty on rails, like, where it focuses heavily on the main story quest, and wants to drive you into that. So again, it has more of that cinematic experience. So far from what I've seen, it doesn't have the ability for you to be like, hey, well, I just want to go do this continent first, or I want to go to this continent first. Like, it's not like real true open world. So it is on rail type of game where you have your main focus and you're heavily driven towards that main story quest line, that main story focus. Now, way later on, it might open up. I'm not sure because I have not beat the game yet, but some people may or may not like that. Again, that's like a personal preference. Like, if you want to be able to go anywhere or whatever, like Baldur's Gate 3, for example, it doesn't seem like this game has that. But I prefer a more cinematic experience. I prefer the game to have a main story quest, because that's what I'm playing it for, right? Like, I play this type of game because I want it to be like a movie, but a movie that I'm involved in, where I can make choices and control the outcome and things that are happening. So it kind of has a more cinematic experience like that, right? And then the other dislike is the class specializations. You can only pick, there's only 3 basic classes: warrior, rogue, and mage. And when I play games, I like to be a support type healer. That's my go-to. And you can't even be a healer in this game. Like, you just can't. Now, your companions, they have other specializations. That's another story. But as far as your character goes, you cannot be a healer. So in the mage class, there is no real healing support type character. And that's what I love like to build in any of these type of games, and I can't. So that's kind of unfortunate. Um, so really having three starting classes and they each have three specializations, they kind of don't feel like super differentiated, right? Like they don't feel like if you're a mage, depending on what path you go, you still kind of feel like that mage, generic mage-ish. Like they're not that night and day difference, right? So that's one thing I was kind of sad about. But in the world we live in today, I feel like there's probably going to be some DLCs or something where they drop like a new specialization or new class or something like that, because that's the kind of world we live in today where you spend $70 on a game and they give you, 50% of the game and then sell you more later, right? That's just kind of, especially EA, right? Like that's EA's, that's what they do. They try to milk you. But that's really the only dislikes I have. Honestly, the game is definitely worth the money. All the crying and bitching and moaning that I've heard, and trust me, I love hating on shit. I love fucking crying and bitching and moaning, complaining. I fucking love doing that shit. But it's seriously not fucking warranted. I do not know where that shit came from because, again, I feel like people are so easy just to latch on to someone else's fucking opinion. Like, and they're latching on to someone's opinion that played an early access copy too. Like, bro, the game wasn't even out yet. Like, what the fuck? So, hopefully, if you want to, not be smooth brain and fucking be a follower, be a leader, and if you like the franchise, you'll like this game. So if you like BioWare games or this franchise or even Mass Effect, and you've played previous Dragon Age games and you liked them, you'll probably like this game too. Again, it is a little I want to say a little watered down compared to the previous entries overall. I'm not talking about one specific thing, but I think that's obviously BioWare slash EA owning them and then trying to appeal to a little bit more larger audience and not be so niche audience, right? Like, let's put it this way. If Joe Blow jumps into Baldur's Gate 3 and has no Dungeons and Dragons experience, he's probably going to be fucking lost and probably going to fucking get his ass kicked and fucking not know shit about dice rolls or not know shit about any checks or any of that shit, right? Well, let's say Joe Blow wants to play an RPG, but Baldur's Gate 3 literally turned him off to it, right? I feel like Dragon Age the Veilguard is kind of the opposite of that. I feel like Joe Blow can play it and there's still enough RPG elements and customizations and good story and narrative and gameplay and combat um, to where it's definitely worth the money and you will definitely enjoy it and have a good time. So it's kind of like the middle ground. Like it's definitely the middle ground. I would say, here's the bottom. Here's Dragon Age or Veilguard, and then here's like Baldur's Gate 3, right? So, but yeah, please just form your own opinion. Like that's the whole goal of this video. I'm not trying to glaze the game or whatever because it's not perfect by any means. But all the fucking trolls and shit talking shit about it, especially about like the whole gender thing or binary thing. Like really, dude, like Dragon Age has had like all that kind of stuff already, dude. Like where the fuck have you been? Like get over like What the fuck? Did you even play the other games? That shit's been there for like a long time. Like, what the fuck? Like, and again, you get mad because Dragon Age has a little part about it. Like, bro, like, they're not the fucking first people to do this shit. Like, even Star Trek The Next Generation fucking been out for fucking, I don't know how many years, fucking broke barriers like that and, you know, fucking covered topics like that. Like, what the, and did that stop people from, from fucking boycotting the whole show? Like, fuck you and your canceled bullshit and your whole boycotting bullshit. Be a fucking leader, man, not a follower. Make your own opinion and fucking try the fucking game, dude. Like, because it's pretty fucking good. And don't let a bunch of internet trolls and fucking dumb shits fucking sway your opinion. Make your own opinion. Okay? That's what I want. That's the point of this video. Is so I can encourage people to make their own opinion on the game after hearing mine. But my own opinion is telling you to forge your own opinion. Fuck what I said. Fuck what anyone has said about the game. Do you and be your own fucking person. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But hey, who knows? You might have a good time. I am so far.